Hello everyone, I'm Colin Kinnett. Today I'm going to do a short video and I'm going to show you what I'm doing to make my router table even more convenient than it already is. This is where my router table lives here in the workshop, and I made this sort of area so that this would be the router area, and that was a good idea at the time. It doesn't always work, and all of my tools and all of my bits are all in this one area. The only problem is I've decided that this cabinet over here is too constricting. I don't have enough room to move wood through all the time. I also have a dust collection hose that I have to hook up. So what happens is I end up moving the whole router table out into the middle of the workshop floor. Then every time I need a tool or a ruler or whatever I have to do, I have to stop what I'm doing, walk all the way around the router table and come over to this area here. Now that in itself isn't a big deal, except it does two things. First of all, it wastes time, which we can all help preserve time, but the biggest thing is it breaks the workflow, and that's my biggest concern. I want to stop breaking workflow and make things more convenient, so that's what I'm working on today. For those of you who are not familiar with my router table, I have this thing called a lift installed on it, and it's a Dalmax product. I'll put a link in the description box. You'll be able to see that if you're not familiar with it. There's two major things that this does. First of all, it allows me easy access to the power, so I can plug the power in or out whenever I'm changing bits. The other thing is I have easy access to the bits. You can see the collet is right there, so I can change the bits really easily with this. And the other thing, and for me, it's worth it just for this one thing. Whenever you change a bit, you always have to fiddle around with the height of that bit, and sometimes it requires a little bit of fine adjustment. Now where I'm standing, I can look right down on it, but I'm going to put this at the camera angle, and you can see how you can sight right down, and there's the router bit right there, and you can actually sight right down without having to get on your knees and do all that adjustment. So that's what I really like about this. And to help prevent that workflow, when you see this down, there's actually an area under here. See this area under here? All that is available for me to store things like my ruler that I use all the time for setting the bits, my wrench, of course, for changing router bits, and this fine adjustment tool. Usually I can use this with my finger, but sometimes it gets a little bit stiff, and they do have a little tool for it, and it's really convenient, but it'd be nice to have a place to store that as well. So that's what I'm going to do today. Now I'm going to use magnets to fasten my wrench in place, and I'm going to put the magnets exactly the same place on both sides of this, so that no matter whether I'm using my ruler, which is there, I can switch sides and they're both going to fit on exactly the same way. So I've had a look at this, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go right from the very tip, and I'm going to mark one at 6 inches and another one at 12. And that's really easy. And then I'll take and mark a distance out from the side of those, and I'll just mark the same on the other side. Now before I check that magnet to see if the depth is good enough, what I'm going to do is drill a hole right in the middle. Now what that allows me to do, when I put this magnet in, I can use a nail or a thin piece of wire, because sometimes these are really hard to get out. But look, if you've got a little piece of wire or a nail, and if you find the hole, you just pop it out like that. And if you put them in there and glue them and decide you want it in a different spot, again, you can poke them out by going through from the bottom. Now to hold those in there, I'm just going to use a little bit of CA glue, and I'll put some accelerator on the back of the magnet. Now this next part is going to be a little bit more complicated because I need to build a hanger to hang this thing on. So I'm going over to the bandsaw and I'm going to cut something like that out after I drill a hole in there for the shaft to sit in. Well, I've got those magnets installed in this little holder, and because I'm using it when the top is up, I'm thinking that's probably the best spot, and it's not going to interfere with the shock there. So that's going to be a perfect spot. I am really happy with where all of these things are placed. It's quick and it's handy, and I don't have to keep walking around the router every time I need to get a part to adjust it. Well, that concludes my video for today, and just a few suggestions of things that you can do to help improve your workflow. I'm Colin Canet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.